Hello and welcome back to another 5K tennis discussion. Today is Monday, February the 3rd, 2020. We are here to talk about the Novak Djokovic and Dominic Thiem match, a couple of updates, a little bit of other news, and to catch up from being out yesterday. Carla and I had lessons to teach on the courts all day, and then we got home and we watched my 49ers lose in the Super Bowl.
Oh, sorry.
So still recovering from that. So let's jump right into some news. In a serious and tragic matter, a 15-year-old Australian tennis player by the name of Kent Yamasaki passed away on the tennis court while training in Nepal, which is a high-altitude country in Asia just north of India, near Tibet. He was there preparing for an ITF junior tournament. No real cause of death has been determined at this point, but the young man was training, collapsed on the court, and when he collapsed, he smacked his head on the concrete or the court, the playing surface, whatever type of surface. It was outdoor hard, and he never regained consciousness and passed away in the hospital a couple hours later. Tragic. Again, condolences to this young man. I'm assuming, now this is an assumption and not fact, but I'm assuming in Nepal, it's factual. It's a high altitude country. I think some of the cities there are around 8,000 feet.
Really?
8,000 feet is over a mile high.
That's a lot.
So I'm assuming only, and please let us know in the comments if you find out what the cause of death is. I've been looking at it for a couple of days. It didn't just happen. It happened like 2 days ago or 3 days ago. But I'm assuming he wasn't primed to deal with high altitude and therefore had oxygen depletion while playing, and made him pass out and then subsequently banged his head on the ground. So that's only an assumption. I know, like in football or any sport for that matter, where we play outdoors at high altitude, you'll see a lot of players with oxygen on.
I was telling him that my father took me to Honduras when I was I would say about 12 years old, and it's high altitude over there. You know, there are mountains and stuff, and I had a difficult time playing tennis there. You know, we stayed for 2 weeks, and I still couldn't quite adapt to the high altitude. I felt like I was having a hard time breathing, kind of cloudy. I didn't quite feel my feet on the ground. It was just a strange feeling. The bounce of the ball, I felt different. It's just uncomfortable. So I think if somebody's not used to it, it could be a problem.
Yeah, and especially in Nepal, given that Honduras obviously is not near the height and altitude as Nepal, right?
No, I don't think so.
So let's give this young man at least a 5-second moment of silence. He was obviously a good player, and he deserves some respect. All right. All right. Hope this young man is able to play tennis in his next life. All right, Carla. Let's jump right in and talk about the Novak Djokovic and Dominic Thiem match. As we all know, Novak Djokovic beats Dominic Thiem in a really good match in 5 sets and won his 8th record-setting. Well, I think he set the record at 7, but he's just piling on.
He's just
the
gonna
record.
make it tougher for anybody.
So continues to grow his record now to his 8th Australian Open and his 17th major title. So I think Novak Djokovic.
It's right 2 behind Nadal.
Yeah, 2 behind Nadal.
And 3.
And then 3. So I think that, let's see, Nadal holds the record at the French Open with 12. Roger holds the record at Wimbledon with, 8? I think 8.
I'm not sure. 12 is what Nadal has for the French Open?
He has 12 at the French, I'm fairly certain. And then 8, I didn't look this up, so I'm shooting from the hip. 8 at Wimbledon. Djokovic has 8 at the Australian. And what am I missing? The U.S. Open. Who holds the record for most U.S. Opens? Is it Federer too?
I'm looking at that right now.
I can't believe I don't know that off the top of my head. It's kind of sketchy. I think
Okay, so Australian Open. Roger Federer had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then Novak passed him 7. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Wimbledons. So the same as Novak Djokovic. 8 Australian, 8 Wimbledons. In U.S. Open, he has 5 and 1 French. So let's look at Novak now.
Just see who has the most U.S. Opens. I'd be curious to know that. I think it's Roger, but again, I'm shooting from the hip, and I should know that. Congratulations, by the way, to Novak.
He's got 3. And he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Wimbledon. So it's Federer holds the most U.S. Opens.
With how many?
I think it was 6. Let me go back to it.
So congratulations to Novak Djokovic and his team, his family, his countrymen and countrywomen, his wife and family, and all fans, and especially to the small country of Serbia that is dominating the world in tennis. They don't just have Djokovic; they have a lot of players. Jiri, Lajovic. Give me some other ones.
5. He's got 5.
So is that the record?
Yeah, 5.
Tipsarevic, Troitsky, and the list goes on.
Not too bad. Not too bad. I heard his interview, and he wanted the Italian guy with the accent, to say "not too bad."
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious.
I mean, really incredible if you think about it. I mean, per land area, Serbia is nowhere near the size of a lot of these big continents like Australia or North America or whatever, and they're putting out some dominant tennis players. So, and have for a long time. So
they're hungrier. That's why.
Hungrier.
I think he said it in an interview that he was very hungry. Growing up in Serbia was not easy, so it made him hungry to want to be a champion.
Yeah, I think when people take ball or take practice in bombed out swimming pools, I don't think I would want to test their intensity on a tennis court because I can promise you, just like Djokovic and all the people we just named, they're fighters, they're gladiators. They come to play and they battle, right?
Yeah, we all knew it was going to be a battle for Thiem. We all knew he had to play very well. It looks like he played very well. It looks like Djokovic struggled with whatever he was struggling. But, I mean, it was 5 sets, so all you guys got your 5 sets. But we know the better player actually won. We expected him to win the slam.
Yeah, my overall feeling for the match was it was a very good match. My overall feeling, though, is it went a little longer than I think it should have, which makes me a little bit on the skeptical side about, profiting and money and advertisements and having the fans stay there to buy more concessions and more gifts in the gift shops or, more airtime for TV advertisements, et cetera, et cetera. Djokovic, in my opinion, is a far more superior player than Dominic Thiem. Now, coming out of the first set was, kind of a little up and downish, and, Djokovic held it was at 6-4 in the first. So it was, he didn't look fatigued. It looked like he was just very confident and chilled to me. I know a lot of the commentary, there was indications that he looked fatigued or tired. I think that mentally he probably knew that he was the better player and maybe, took it a little too lightly at first. I think that as it moved on, and we'll get into the more details, but
also Thiem came out playing his best tennis, and also I thought in that first set.
Yeah, so there is a lot of things that I kind of go off on tangents about in the game of tennis these days that involve entertainment and ticket sales and extending things that basically should be done earlier, finished matches completed earlier. But sometimes I feel like, and again, I'm not going to rant into this, but it just seems a little skeptical that the match went so long. I don't know how to put it any different. I figured it would be quick after the first set. I figured it would be quick, and then here we go. So let's talk about that. There was also during this match a time violation when Djokovic was serving, which I thought was just ridiculous. He wasn't taking that terribly long. Number one, you don't start the clock until if you get the towel, they don't start the clock until you actually get the ball. So there was some little gray area there, but
is that where he told the umpire you're becoming famous now? Like he tapped him on the shoe? Is that where he tells the umpire?
Yeah, and I think that was an overreaction too. I mean, he taps him on the shoe. In the rule book, and I looked this up, you can't physically abuse the ref. I mean, if you're telling me tapping someone's shoe is physical abuse, I mean, it wasn't even that big of a deal.
No, it's not a big
deal. You can't blame him. He's going for his eighth title. He gets a time violation called. There was an instance just after that where it almost seems like he purposely did it again. And then he got I forget what it was. Did he lose a point? Or did he double fault? I can't remember. But there was a time in which I felt like the time violation, the second time, was purposely or intently done. Maybe for a little stir of drama, get the crowd into it, creating some vibe that everybody can talk about. And just, again, in just my opinion, these type of things in the middle of the match I thought were a little theatrical. And maybe, in my opinion, conspiracy theory and all, to keep people in the stands and TV advertisements running, keeping it on for for people in the United States. A large portion of the people that watch this are in the U.S. and it starts at 2:30, 3:30 in the morning here. So what better way to wake up and have a fifth set going on?
Sure.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I never really saw Novak Djokovic, in my opinion, truly stressed. I don't feel like he was I didn't feel like he was ever in danger. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And maybe you agree or disagree, but that's how I felt. So currently, Novak Djokovic is now 16-0. 1-6.
What a record. What a record. He deserves it. I mean, I saw a picture.
Well, you're missing the point real quick.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Djokovic is now 16-0 on Rod Laver Arena.
Wow.
So he's never lost a match in Rod Laver Arena. So go ahead, sorry.
No, I said he came fitter. I did pick somebody else to win, but I didn't. I mean, we all knew he was going to win. He looked a lot stronger. Usually he's a very slim guy, but he looked like he had abs, his more chest muscle, more abs. It looked like he put a lot of time into this. He wanted to make sure that he breaks Federer's record. And that's his goal. In his interview, he said, slams for me are everything.
I can't
Just
blame
slams.
him. In the history books, when time moves on and we're past and gone and people look back at history for the greatest player of all time, you're going to look at majors.
That's what he says. Slams is my priority right now.
And we've had this debate before. Some people will say, well, look at the Masters 1000
I don't think he cares about
and look
that.
at the head-to-head. And it really doesn't matter historically, because if we look back in time and say who was the greatest boxer or basketball champion or football player, we look at Super Bowls, we look at titles, we look at things like that. I don't go back in history and find out, who maybe beat them or who didn't beat them and when and why and on what surface or what ring or what country. We just look at majors and we're done, right?
Correct.
At least from your average sports fan.
So if we see him lose a couple Masters, I wouldn't think about it too much.
I wouldn't worry
His
about
goal is those slams.
Yeah, I mean, again, if he loses in the first round, which won't happen,
Big deal.
but it's not a big deal for him. He's going to continue to dominate for I wouldn't say many more years, but many more years, I think.
I actually have to disagree with you. I think that their time is coming to an end. I think this is the year for them to win slams. From what I saw, Tiem's 26 already, I think. So he's not a young puppy either. But from what I saw, I think that this will be the last year we'll see that dominance from the three.
I can concur with you on Rafa.
It's gonna get tougher.
And I can concur with you on Roger.
Better.
But I would disagree with you wholeheartedly on Djokovic.
I think Djokovic is gonna think about it a little bit more with Thiem. I mean, he did battle with Thiem. I mean, it wasn't that easy like it was last year against Nadal. I mean, he had to battle. So I disagree with your conspiracy.
Well, I was just fixing to say, I do think it was easy for Djokovic. I do think that Thiem sets that he won, 2 and 4 right there in the middle of the match.
How much more time do you think that Djokovic is going to be able to slide the way he does? It's amazing how he slides and stretches out. But as we age, it gets tougher.
Okay, well, let's look at the dynamics behind him sliding like that. Or a lot of players slide, but not quite as
he stretches out.
Not quite as beautifully as Djokovic, or not even close, honestly. But let's look at what the players have. Why doesn't the common tennis player on a hard court, just like, let's say you or me, we'll use us as, why don't we slide like that? Yeah, we're older, but let's say even going back in time, why didn't we slide like that? And they are able to slide like that. It's because they have special made shoes with special tread on the bottom. When we go buy shoes at the store, they've got your common John Doe tread for everybody. And if you try to slide with your normal court shoe that you buy, from whatever place you get your tennis shoes, and you try to do that, you're going to blow out your ankle, and you're going to blow it out quickly. So, you always say, warning, don't try this at home, or warning, don't do this. There's professionals that are doing this. I would apply that to his sliding, because if you are training some child or adult or elderly person or whatever to do that with a normal tennis shoe, someone's going to get hurt and get hurt badly. Mm-hmm. Djokovic has returned to the number 1 spot. Congratulations to him for that, retaking the spot from Nadal. So that will guarantee for the French Open 1 spot on the top of the draw and 2 spot on the bottom of the draw, and we'll see where Federer fits in the mix. Surely he'll be on.
I'm sure he'll be on Djokovic's side again.
Djokovic's half, as always. For so many years we used to talk about that too before we did the show. It always seemed like it was a design for Rafa and Federer to meet in the final, and Djokovic would always meet Federer for a while. Mm-hmm. No other man in history, again, has 8 Australian Opens. Dominic Thiem is now 0-3 in major finals, but he is slowly getting better. In his first French Open final, he lost to Nadal 4-6, 3-6, 2-6, so straight sets. And his next Australian Open, he lost to Nadal again in 4, 3-6, 7-5. Took a set from him on clay, nice. But the last two sets were quite straightforward, 1-6 and 1-6. Now here he is in the Australian Open, different surface, so he's becoming a more all-surface player.
Good for him.
And loses, of course, as we discussed, to Novak Djokovic, 4-6, 6-4, 6-2, 3-6, 4-6.
Now, this could go two ways for him. Obviously he's heartbroken. He could take this hard and not do good for the rest of the year. Could affect him big time, because here he is. He put all this work into it, and he failed. He was short again. I mean, you can't say I almost won a slam. You didn't win a slam. Second place doesn't count.
Dollar short and a day late.
Doesn't count. So this can affect him. He can either look at it as a positive, or we might just see him disappear.
I don't think you're going to see...
I don't think that we will see him in the final of the French Open.
So, okay, I wrote something here about the different majors. So, Australians in the history books, he made a final. I cannot call TM a favorite to win the French Open, but I can say he's a favorite to go deep. But I don't think he's going to beat Nadal. Granted, he got a set off of him last year, but I don't think he's going to beat him there. I think that Djokovic has a chance to beat Nadal on clay because of, again, what you alluded to a moment ago, his fitness level. He was extremely fit, and again, don't hate me on this, but the reason why I think that this 6-4, 6-2, these two sets that TM took, I mean, I really feel in my heart that Djokovic could have won that match, 6-4, 6-4, and 6-2. It's just, mighty odd. He gets into the fifth set, and he looks like he hasn't even sweated yet, but that's a testament to his fitness. Smiling, chilled.
He's like, okay.
Not a problem.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I never saw him overly stressed, and most people, when they get to a fifth set, they show a little tension, a little tightness. They're stressed, they're upset, and we know historically Djokovic, when he gets in tight matches, he'll yell at his box and rah 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 rah, and throw a fit sometimes, to pump himself up, kind of turn that negative energy into a positive. And I didn't see that. We saw the theatrics with the time violation and tapping the referee on the foot, but because of that, I think that again the sets that mattered were the sets that he won. And I can't really, it's in my head that way, and we can talk about it, but that's just my opinion. I feel like Djokovic is by far a more superior player than anyone on tour. And it's just odd for me that TM rolls off a 6-4 and a 6-2 set against Djokovic. I just don't see it. So in my opinion, I think the sets that counted were the Djokovic sets of 6-4, 6-3, and 6-4. But I can't call TM a favorite for the French Open, but to go deep. I definitely can't call him a favorite at all at Wimbledon. Maybe a quarterfinal.
Yeah.
And I can't call him a favorite for the U.S. Open. I mean, I think he'll go deep. I mean, he's top, 5 in the world. But I can't quite call him a favorite, especially at the U.S. Open. It's the end of the year. Everybody's worn thin. So you can agree or disagree. Let me know in comments. For Dominic Thiem, he has an impressive 16 ATP singles titles, though, and with those 16, he has won on every surface. So he has tournament wins on all 4 surfaces.
Right.
So that is incredible. But I don't think he's near the player of.
No, he's not even close to Djokovic caliber. Not even I don't think. Not even Nadal or not even Federer. I'm sorry.
What is Dominic Thiem's biggest tournament win is Indian Wells, which is arguably the 5th major. What some have said over the years, and I think the Sony Ericsson, which is now the Miami Open.
That's coming up soon.
That's coming up. So he won that last year, if I remember correctly. So that's very impressive. But again, the grand scheme of things, major count, going down in history type deal. No one's going to really look at that. Mm-hmm. Something to talk about for a tennis fan. But in my opinion, it's not really a huge deal.
And he's ranked number 4 now, so he passed Medvedev.
Good for him. I think TM is better than Medvedev.
He's right behind Federer, not too far in points, by the way.
So one of the issues TM was having in this match is his down-the-line backhand. And all of us one-handers. I hit a one-hander. All of my kids hit one-handers. We always have a little bit of trouble with the down-the-line backhand, especially if we're meeting the ball a little bit late. Yeah. When we meet the ball a little bit late, in other words, here comes the ball, I'm coming around to make contact, and instead of being ahead and meeting it just right out front, getting rid of the ball, sometimes he meets it a little bit late. So, but he almost does it habitually, but not necessarily in a bad way. When he meets it late, he's able with his spin to make the ball he'll make contact with the ball, and the ball will actually curve away and off the court a little bit. So he'll hit it, and the ball will kind of not go straight down the line. It will kind of curve just a hair, just a little bit. And it works in his favor a lot. But unfortunately, a lot of this match, his down the line backhand would sail a little wide on him. Djokovic knew this and exploited it the entire match, or the sets that he won. So he did. Thiem was doing this in the first set. Djokovic was hammering it, hammering, and Thiem would miss that down the line shot. So if you're going backhand to backhand, two right-handed players, and you're hitting, you go up the line. Once you work your opponent off the court, cross court to cross court, eventually you'll pull the trigger and take it up the line. And he was curving it out, missing it, and quite a lot. So Djokovic, in the sets that he lost, he oddly went away from it. So that's why it's peculiar to me. Why would you change a working game plan? That's why I think there's a little skepticism on the length of the match. He went back to it in the last two sets, and what happened? So again, I'm not making up stories. That's just my opinion. I think there's a lot of money in advertisements that will sometimes behind the scenes say, hey, let's make this a little bit longer. Hate me, but that's what I believe.
Good. It was a good Australian Open, though. Can't complain.
It was a great Australian Open.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the better ones I think I've seen in a long time. Disappointing, Federer bailed out, and disappointing Nadal bailed out. And in my opinion, though, I like all players. And I'm a fan of all players. And I'm a fan of good tennis. And again, the final was great tennis. But I do feel like it was exaggerated. And Djokovic could have had that match, in my opinion, in the bag before we all got up here in the United States.
So you think it was gifted to him?
I think there was some gifting going on. Let's see. I think I already.
We have a few. What are the next tournaments? We go on to clay season.
Yeah,
right?
I've got those written as well.
Yeah, we're gonna cover those. Marcel.
Oh, we're gonna cover all the tournaments. Absolutely. So here's just kind of a poll question, and you can answer this. If this was a second round match, they can't meet that soon, obviously. But let's just say it was a second round match. Would it have gone 5 sets? Do you think, or do you think Djokovic would have plowed right through him?
I think he would have plowed right through him. He would not have allowed that.
Me too. So here's some stats from the match. Thiem had 13 aces to Djokovic's 9. They both had 5 double faults. Their first serve percentage throughout the match was basically identical, 64 to 65%.
Well, didn't Thiem double fault the first set? I remember.
I think set point, I think.
That hurt.
The winning percentage on second serve is an important statistic. Obviously, Thiem won 49% of his second serve points, and Djokovic won 57% of his second serve points. They both had this identical amount of break points, 5 of 12. 12 opportunities, 5 breaks. And here's the stat that you're always going to see with Djokovic, and why, when I read this stat, do I think is another reason why this match should have been over a lot earlier. We know that I'm going to say it's factual. I'm going to say that Novak Djokovic is the greatest service returner of all time. I think Agassi needs to be in the group.
Agassi will be right behind him.
Michael Chang was he could always seem to get to things with his strong legs. Agassi was really good, but Novak Djokovic is so much better on the return game than anybody, in my opinion, in
history. The way he stretches out to reach a lot of these balls, and normally some guys would just ace another opponent.
And not even just reach. His anticipation, his ability to read.
Well, if you notice, his eyes are very focused. It's like he dials in. It's like a machine, like Terminator. It's like he knows where it's going already.
It's incredible. It's not an illusion that he's the greatest returner of all time. I think it's factual. Djokovic's total prize money, by the way, now has passed Federer and Nadal. Djokovic's total prize money, not including sponsors, which is probably equally as much, $140,228,279. Federer is second with $129,231,891. Rafael Nadal is in third with $120,222,286.
Let's just grab one of these guys. I think with all our viewers, we still can't make that number.
Jeez.
All the viewers that watch the show, that subscribe, all of us can't make Nadal's number.
Oh, you mean it combined?
Combined.
Yeah, there's no way.
No way we got that.
That's a lot of cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Novak Djokovic won 24 of 29 net points, struck 46 winners. So good numbers. Again, why was most of it accumulated in the sets that he won and not in the other two? It's kind of odd for me. Dominic Thiem only won 29 of 134 return points. That's a big statistic, right? Again, and why did this match go 5? I don't know about that. Each player had a tie of 57 unforced errors. And lastly, this relates to the entire Big Three. The entire Big Three now have won 13 straight majors and 56 of 67 of the past majors. Think about that. These three guys have won the 13 majors in a row between the three of them and have won 56 of 67 of the past majors. Quite freaking incredible. Djokovic now starts the season 13-0. So beginning 2020, we haven't lost, and that might continue for a while. Again, I am skeptical, though. As you indicated, Carla, he's worried about slams, and that is his goal. So, like you said,
I don't exactly. I think that he'll play a few. He might not win them, but I don't think that's his goal. His goal is to be healthy by the time he gets to that Grand Slam.
Yeah.
And it would be smart for all three of them not to worry about those master titles or the smaller tournaments. Just get some warm-up in there because the bodies are different.
Exactly.
You want to keep that body fresh.
So if he doesn't win Indian Wells or the Miami Open...
don't be shocked.
Don't be shocked about that. He's still very much going to be fine. I do think he is well on his way to catch Roger Federer. And I think at this point, it's a really good possibility. And if so, I don't think it's an open discussion to basically indicate that he is very much on his way to being the greatest tennis player of all time. Maybe he doesn't have the type of game that I like more than, say, Federer's type game. I may not care for his game, but it doesn't matter what I think about someone's style of play. The proof is in the pudding. If he catches Roger Federer, regardless, even if he ties him, I think he goes down as the best of all time. And a lot of people, are fans
because he's more of a complete package.
More of a complete package. He's a better returner than Federer has ever been. So I think that's a statistic. Yeah. Now, a lot of people, come into sports and follow sports because they like one individual person and they're not quite aware of, people before them. But when Federer was vintage Federer, early 2000s, and even as an aspiring late, kind of junior, he started very young. But I'm just saying, when I started seeing him late in his junior career, all the way from the beginning, long hair, the original pro staff to the 95 pro staff, and all through the BLX blades and whatever, vintage Federer was really a maestro tactician and very dominant. But I would be curious to see Novak Djokovic travel back in time and play the Federer of like 2004 or 5 when he was just rolling off.
Well, I think Raj sent me a video of the first time they played, and it was on clay. He sent me that video. And actually, Djokovic took a set off of him. First time they met. Yeah,
and again, I watched their final courtside at the 2007 Australian Open, and Federer won that 7-6, 7-6, 7-5, or maybe it was 7-6, 7-6, 7-6. But it was a straight setter, but close. So I think if you could put these two guys, Federer, Djokovic, right in the key of their prime, I think it would be, like if you put Djokovic right now against Federer at his best, that would be epic, and I can't really tell you who would win that.
Yeah, it was their first match that they met, and it was tight, so, hey.
All right, so upcoming tournaments that we have coming up. We have ATP 250 in Cordoba. That's in Argentina. Draws are already out for that, as well as in Pune, I don't know how to pronounce that, in India, and also the Sud de France in France. The surface is Argentina clay, Pune, India, outdoor hard court, and the Open Sud de France is indoor.
Oh, we're seeing a lot of dirt bowlers come out now. Now the game changes.
Yeah, exactly. So
we're ready for grinding points.
Yeah,
long points.
So I look forward to following those tournaments
and
as well.
slower.
Real quickly, I'm not going to spend but 2 seconds on this, so no worries. The fantasy team winners are Jmp1966.
He did contact us. He gave us the email. We missed it because we were busy yesterday.
What prize did he pick?
The strings. He wants you to tell him a bit about the strings.
Okay, remind me to communicate with him once we get back from our errands that we have to run. Or we can just do it while we're driving.
Yeah.
JMP66 came in first with 69 points. So he's a winner. I'm glad he contacted us. Congratulations, JMP1966. You came 2 points shy. I had to check history. You came 2 points shy of the highest point total in the last 6 Fantasy team competitions, Casper, a.k.a. Dead Civil, had 71.
I remember that.
That was he was almost perfect.
Mm-hmm.
In second place was actually myself. Let's go. I came in with 65 points. But again, I just play for the smack talk and for the fun of it. I love competing with everybody. I finished with 65 points, so I was in second, but I'm out. So that would bump Dusan Jmp19 over Stefanizovic and Bartek Playtek because Dusan was tied with both of them moving into the final. And he had both players. He had selected Kenin and Djokovic on his fantasy team, so he had both finalists or both winners of each final, and no one else did. So that broke the tie. So Dusan, please let us know how you want to reach us, whether it's email or leave it in comments.
Put it on YouTube like Jmp1966 did. He put his email on there.
Yeah, that's totally cool. Some people over the past year and a half haven't wanted to do that because they're worried they're going to get scammed by somebody. Understand that. Just send us send us a message. Our email is
5ktennis@mail.com.
Yeah, 5ktennis@mail.com. So thank you very much, everyone. The trophy presentation is for you guys. This was actually this was my 14-year-old's. Was this his first tournament win?
I think so, to runner up.
So no, this is doubles.
Doubles, okay, but yeah.
So anyway, it was the only one I could kind of keep out of the picture. We've got a whole bunch and they're a lot bigger, so we had this kind of snuck under the table. But the trophy goes to all of you. If it wasn't for all of you, we wouldn't have this much fun with doing this. We would still just kind of be battling it out without a camera on like we've always done for a very long time. So thanks so much to all of you. You are our Players Box. So without our team, which is you, without our family that kind of watches one another while we're doing these shows, and without our 4-year-old in there that's being very good and always is very good. So thanks so much. The trophy is to you. You guys have won this and not necessarily us. We enjoy it, so it's not really work for us. It's fun. I mean, it is work, but it's fun, so I don't think of it that way. Unending gratitude to all of you for the motivation and support. B-Dog, Rahesh, Wayne Chia, Margarita. I mean, geez, I can go on forever. Dusan, Stefan.
Yeah, there's so many.
There's
of you guys.
so many.
Hitchhiker. There's so many of you guys. Jay, he's the one that's really knowledgeable about stuff.
Tenniser, this guy 1000, I think. And again, it's hard for me to remember all, but we will be driving around in the car on the tennis court coaching, and we'll think of one thing and I'll be like, hey, do you remember what B-Dog said? Or do you remember what Rahesh said? Or do you remember what this guy 1000 said? Or do you remember what Margarita said? That was funny. And we'll bring it up so it's part of our life, not just right here. So you're a part of us, and thank you very much. An absolutely great tournament, great run. We had a very good time. We look forward to jumping into some of these smaller ones that kind of keep the ball rolling and unfolding the rest of the year. So that's it. I can't wait till the next show. I'm already looking forward to it. But until then, that's it. So
Adios.
Thanks so much, everyone. Take care. Let's go. Vamos. And we'll see you next time. Thank you. See ya.